This year marks the 76th anniversary of the first flight of an iconic Cold War aircraft, the MiG-15. And though the type entered service in 1949, 74 years ago, it remains in service in 2023 in one nation, and that nation is North Korea. The Korean People's Army Air Force is a curious mixture of the modern and the ancient. Its frontline combat aircraft include the MiG-29, and it also relies on a host of earlier Cold War Soviet and Chinese aircraft, including the MiG-23, the MiG-21, and its Chinese version, the Chengdu F-7, the latter being North Korea's most numerous fighter with 120 currently in service. Its second most numerous fighter is the Shenyang F-5, the Chinese version of the Soviet MiG-17, which entered service in 1952, with 106 currently on the books. It also has a bomber type in service that is even older than the MiG-15, the 1940s-era Ilyushin IL-28, and its Chinese licensed copy, the Harbin H-5. 80 of these antiques are still in service today. Check out my video about North Korean Ilyushin 28s in the end screen. Fortunately for all concerned, North Korea has relegated its small force of MiG-15s to the role of advanced jet trainers. The MiG-15 was a revolutionary design when it first appeared in the late 1940s, a swept-wing aircraft that had its origins in captured Nazi aircraft designs, powered by a license-built version of the very successful British Rolls-Royce Nene turbojet engine. Incredibly, the reason why the Soviet Union ended up with the revolutionary British jet engine was a misguided decision by the Labour government under Prime Minister Clement Attlee to improve Anglo-Soviet relations. All it did was to make the MiG-15 a more formidable weapon that the British and Americans had to contend with in the Korean War, where the MiG-15 outclassed the latest US jets. As Stalin said of the British decision, quote, "What fool will sell us his secrets?" End quote. The MiG-15 went on to serve with the Warsaw Pact nations, plus other communist states and their allies. The type saw more combat in the 1956 Suez Canal crisis, with Egyptian Air Force MiGs fighting Royal Air Force and Israeli planes, and in the Taiwan Straits crisis of the late 1950s, a Chinese MiG-15 being the first aircraft shot down in combat by the famous AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air missile in 1958. The single-seater version lingered on in several third-world countries as a frontline jet until the early 2000s, but found a new lease of life in many countries as a two-seat trainer. North Korea currently operates 15 MiG-15 in the advanced trainer role alongside 30 Shenyang F-2 Chinese licensed versions of the trainer, giving North Korea a total of 45 of these ancient jets still in military service today, adding to the reputation of the North Korean Air Force as being essentially a flying museum that, in the event of war, would have great difficulty in coping with modern aircraft deployed by South Korea, Japan, or the United States. But as the current war in Ukraine has demonstrated time and again, old Cold War or even World War II era equipment will be pressed into service in times of need, and I suspect that North Korea's old MiG-15s may still play a combat role if war ever broke out again on the Korean peninsula. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.